Sonic Generations till this day is still what I consider to be the best Sonic game, gameplay-wise, of all time. The level design, art design, and music, it's all just so masterfully crafted. And with Sonic X Shadow Generations just around the corner, I cannot wait to see Sega's interpretation of some of the more niche Sonic levels that Shadow's game will be most likely drawing from. And seeing that they're pulling from more Sonic games this time, such as Sonic Frontiers, thanks to the fucking leak, I know that I'm in for a great ride once this game finally releases. So in favor of my great anticipation, here are my rankings for every Sonic Generations Modern Sonic stage, from least to greatest. Keep in mind, when I mean least, I am nowhere near saying that these stages are bad by any means. All of the levels in this game are peak Boost Sonic level design in my opinion, and it would be a great disservice to not explain what every one of these levels does right. Alright, that's enough yapping for me. Here are the rankings of every Sonic Generations level, from least to greatest. For number 9 on this list, we have Chemical Plant Zone, one of the more earlier stages in the game. And can I just say, every single stage gets a massive graphical update. I mean, one of the most anticipated things I do when playing Sonic Generations is just gawk at how amazingly they interpreted every classic Sonic level into the modern era. I mean, the art style of this game is just peak Sonic in my opinion. While Sonic Unleashed's graphics took a more realistic approach with their global illumination, Sonic Generations has a more surrealist and stylized look, with it still keeping to the realistic reflections and shadow work, and it creates an amazing aesthetic, I gotta say. But how about the level itself? Well, as I said at the beginning, none of the levels are bad in this game per se, it's just that Chemical Plant feels a bit too samey in my opinion. A bit basic if you ask me, which is completely fine for a beginner level, it's just that Green Hill Zone already did that, and arguably better in my opinion. The level has some great exploration towards the beginning, with the player being able to jump on one of these 3 paths to take them somewhere else in the level. The music meshes well with the hyper-industrialist, chaotic nature of the planet itself, with smoking towers and fire blazing underneath you. It creates this urgent feeling in the player that they're inside of a location that they should not be in, creating that desire to go even faster beautifully. The underwater sections, while still annoying, aren't nearly as bad as they are in the classic games, given that this is a more modern take on the level, and it's only the second level in the game, so having the player drown would be kinda funny. However, this level shines best when you don't go in the water at all and take all of the higher paths, where you see all of the amazing explosions and blaze past the level. The 2D sections especially really sell the idea that you're in a hard-moving factory and need to move with agency in order to survive, with the water rising slowly underneath you. Then the third act of the level kicks in, and the player is greeted to this gorgeous shot of the interior of the factory, in all of its fiery and smoky glory. This one shot alone feels like an immense reward for getting past all those annoying water sections, and Sonic Generations is packed full of them, as you'll see in this video. With some nicely tuned grinding segments and a well-synced song that hooks up perfectly to the ending should you be fast enough. Chemical Plant Zone is an excellent stage in Sonic Generations that exhilarates the player with its familiar yet nostalgic architecture and the great new aesthetics brought into the modern era due to some amazing graphical fidelity and rockin' soundtrack. And it's only the first level on the list. On to Sky Sanctuary, another brilliant interpretation of a masterpiece level from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I already talked about this in my classic Sonic reviews video, but I gotta say, this level is way too gorgeous for you to be blazing through it. I feel like they should have toned the pace down a lot for these levels, and especially in the classic Sonic stage, you zoom by way too fast due to the abuse of the spin dash. For the modern Sonic stage, however, the brilliance in this level is how they integrate the interior and exterior sections. With the original level, there is actually no interior space whatsoever. Sonic Generations takes the liberty of saying, you know what, let's turn this into a giant sky garden with actual architecture and runes, similar to Hidden Palace Zone. And because of that, it creates this gorgeous contrast between lively, lush outer workings and robotic, harsh interior workings. Two environments that contrast with each other brilliantly. And because of it, it makes the level feel more dynamic and exciting. And if that wasn't already great enough, there are so many cool mechanics in this level that draw from the classic stage nicely, such as the red orbs sending you up to the air being more abundant, these cool zip lines that you can jump from if you're fast enough, the cloud effects being brought into full 3D with them creating some nice platforming, and even this iconic homage to the original level towards the end where you get to spin up this spiraling tower with the Death Egg slowly rising in the background. Gosh, this is one of the most gorgeous levels in the game. I haven't even mentioned stuff like the banger OST, which keeps this bright, uplifting tone, pushing the original score's aesthetic to greater heights once again. Like I said, none of the stages in this game are bad by any means. It's just Sonic Generations was the absolute peak of Sonic level design in my opinion, and it's insane how there are somehow levels even better than the first two. Next up on the list, we have one of the best levels from Sonic Adventure, Speed Highway. This level is a bit too short for my liking, but is still masterful all the same. First of all, I just have to talk about the beginning of this level. The fact that there are so many alternate pathways towards the beginning, it really remedies that line of boost to win being a thing for Sonic. It was only really a problem until Sonic Forces, because there are so many options you can do. You can ride the helicopter, jump on this grind rail towards the beginning, or just take the normal path downward, or do a mix of both. It's just so cool. And if that wasn't ambitious enough, this level has you running on skylines, breaking windows with your speed. It's just so badass, man. Definitely one of the most cinematic feeling levels in Sonic Generations, with you racing on these tight skylines, going on this helicopter ride in slow motion, and of course the iconic set piece of you running down the skyscraper, with a bunch of police robos chasing after you. And while they sadly didn't add After Dawn, I know, shocker, they do have this brilliant section after it where it kind of slows down the pace a bit. The song goes into its more mellow section, as it kind of restarts the level from scratch, and you have the section where you have to carefully platform from building to building. Unless you take the higher path, in which case you get greeted to this nice rocket section that zooms past all of the skylines in this epic cinematic fashion. Like I said, definitely one of the most cinematic levels in the game, but it's a little too short for my liking, as after you get past that exhilarating section, you enter this 3D section where you have to drift on the road avoiding obstacles, but the cars realistically won't hit you if you're careful enough. And then you get to the corkscrew at the end, and that's the end of the level. Like, I know it's called Speed Highway, Sega, but geez, let us savor our food just a little bit. Overall, this level is amazing, music is good, level design is good, art design is gorgeous as always. Is it really any surprise, guys? This is one of the best levels in Sonic Adventure 1. And while I would have liked to see something like Red Mountain or Windy Valley, this pick is completely understandable. On to one of my more controversial opinions. For number 6 on this list, I'm happily going with Planet Wisp. I know this stage gets shadowed a lot, but come on, man. It's so gorgeous. Look at the brilliant contrasting purple poison with this green lush forest. I can easily say that this is the most beautiful looking level in the game by far, and it's not even close in my opinion. But the annoying factory and 2D sections, I hear you yell from your monitor. Listen, I know it came out of nowhere and is a bit bad level design from my perspective, but this is the final level of the game. Most of the levels in Sonic Generations you can realistically just blaze past without any thought once you get used to the controls, and Planet Wisp is one of the few levels where you have to actually think about what you're doing. And I know the 2D section controls are pretty finicky for Boost Sonic, that's a major complaint about the gameplay style, but man, Planet Wisp just uses that to its advantage fully. The 2D platforming in this level isn't even that bad, and is actually pretty fun once you get used to the slower pace that it's going for. I mean, the integration of the Rocket Wisp is meant to make things a little more easier on the player, with you being able to skip large chunks of the level if you just carefully time it. And while I do agree that the last level should have been something else other than Planet Wisp, I mean seriously, you end the game on a 2D section in a 3D gameplay style. That's just pretty weird. But overall, I just feel like Planet Wisp is super underrated, and that first 3D section cannot be understated how fun it is. I mean, goodness. Such a breathtaking level. Yes, the spike traps are annoying. Yes, the 2D sections are long and boring for some people. And yes, they probably should have chose a different stage, maybe Asteroid Coaster. But man, what they did with Planet Wisp, if they had just added a stage unique to Sonic Generations for the final level in this game, there's no doubt in my mind that Planet Wisp would get the love it deserves. For number 5, we have one of the best intro levels to any 3D platformer, Green Hill Zone. I already talked about how good the classic variant of the stage is in my classic Sonic levels ranking video, but man, the modern Sonic level just takes things to a whole other level. First of all, can we just talk about how alive this stage is? You took this pretty retro throwback stage at the time, we don't talk about anything after, and you turned it into a living, breathing environment that I can realistically believe exists in this world. You took the pretty abstract checkerboard tiling, the cave-like aesthetic it gives in the original level, and even some waterfalls, and you just ran with it and made this brilliant masterpiece. Like visually, Green Hill Zone is up there with Planet Wisp, but how does it play? Well, it is a beginning level, so you should expect it to be pretty boring and rudimentary, but nope. This level is packed full of secret pathways, alternate pathways, fast, time-saving shortcuts if you're paying attention enough, and spectacle beyond belief that you would not expect for a first level in a Sonic game. I mean, come on. You have this underground cavern section, which you enter through a waterfall. With grind rails you have to jump on to dodge spikes, and then you have to outrun this robotic chomper, which launches you out of the cave into this amazing set piece where you get to do tricks while the fish tries to capture you in vain. If timed correctly, you can end off the tricking sequence with that iconic pose from Sonic Adventure 1, filling this 3D platformer with more personality and grace than most others right off the bat. It's actually criminal how great the first level of Sonic Generations is, man. And mind you, that section of the level only happens about 3/4 through the level. You still have cool set pieces like you drifting under the waterfall, this giant loop that you go on, this bridge that you can break by stomping through it, and just so many 2D sections that are not only perfect fit with the level design, but also are exhilarating in their own way, with you having this huge ramp jump that you can just skip the entire section, if you're careful enough. Sonic Generations Green Hill Zone just blows all other interpretations out of the water, and it's not even close. It's better than Sonic Mania's Green Hill, better than any cyberspace Green Hill in my opinion, and sure as hell better than Sonic Force's Green Hill level. They just decided to lock in and put their best foot forward, I guess. I mean, this level literally starts you off with Sonic running on the plains, literally putting his best foot forward. Like, if it doesn't get more symbolic than that, I don't know what to tell you. This level is just a pure masterpiece. And there are still 4 other levels that are better than it somehow. Okay, next up we have Crisis City, and can I just say right off the bat, this is the best remix song we got in the entire game. The original Crisis City was already a masterpiece, but the modern remix just gives it a cinematic flair and orchestral vibe that I can only describe as being ethereal. That being said, it's crazy how the folks at Sonic Team took this glitchy mess of a level and turned it into a coherent, exciting, and dangerous cityscape full of amazing obstacles and fast-paced action. The level wastes no time getting you into the thick of it, with this fast-paced section at the beginning, the violins screaming in the background, as you're greeted to this absolutely apocalyptic cityscape, with fiery creatures and downtrodden buildings. The fiery effects and monster designs in this level are truly amazing, like, seriously, they just went all out. And the architecture of the city is also cool, with these large ramps and loop-de-loops being constructed from the destruction and overall chaos. Then you get to the interior section of the level, the first real hard part of Sonic Generations in my opinion. You have these tight platforming segments with the Iblis creatures shooting their flames at you, giant fire pillars shooting out of the earth, and lava covering the entire ground should you ever miss one of your jumps. It sells the idea that you're in this dangerous, hellish cityscape pretty well, and then that ending segment where you're running towards the fire tornado as opposed to the original where you're running away from it. Such a genius change to the level, and adds a whole new context to Sonic's journey in this level. It also plays a lot more functional too, with the cars and obstacles being way more predictable and easier to dodge. Most of y'all probably already know how amazing Crisis City is. I mean, it revamped the stage from one of the worst Sonic games of all time. And while the stage in that game was a glitchy, hard to get through mess, this Crisis City is a simple joy to play through that I look forward to in every single run through this game's modern stages. Give the level designers for this game a raise. Alright, did I say Crisis City had the best remix in the game? I sorta lied. This song is clearly the best remix in Sonic Generations, and the best song in the game, in my opinion. I can't believe they got Tony Harnell to come back for the song, and add a new verse into it at that, man. They really knew that this stage was their magnum opus, and it shows. The stage itself is also a masterpiece, although that's not really much of a surprise, as City Escape is one of the most iconic Sonic levels ever, up there with Green Hill Zone. But the way Generations updates the stage with its nice transitions and spacing of each spectacle element is simply a joy to experience. Although I do miss this little grinding section that was in the original that was sadly removed for Generations. I get that they wanted to concise these levels into its most spectacular elements, but they really could have done good to add more of the source material into these levels. What we did get, however, is a truly fast-paced and optimistic level that easily brings a smile to my face on each subsequent playthrough. The beginning skateboarding section is as exhilarating and nostalgic as ever, as with the added element of boosting, you get to jam out to this amazing beat as you skid down the pavement of this bustling city. the trick system adding more to the flair and cinematic feel as you grind on these skylines and clotheslines. You then make your way into this amazing skate park, which is such a cool aesthetic to have. The gun enemies are implemented well into this level, I gotta say. The 2D section is short and sweet with some tight platforming and some fast-paced action. And then you make your way to that iconic set piece with the truck following you. But this time it's twice as long, with the player jumping on rooftops, running on the side of buildings. The truck even gets rockets towards the end to boost itself to Sonic. Still not fast enough to catch him, by the way. Until it crashes into the side of the building and you make your way to the ending. Jeez, the collateral damage must be so severe. But yeah, this stage is amazing, everyone knows it, it's such a masterpiece. From the music to the atmosphere, this is easily one of the best stages in Sonic Generations, but there are still two more that I'd say are even better. Rooftop Run, one of the best Sonic levels of all time, and easily one of the best in Sonic Generations. Its implementation, while short, still touches on the key beats that makes the original stage so amazing. You have the more fun and thrilling aesthetic for this level, with the confetti and decorated balloons polluting the area. You have these large, sprawling shots of the city as Sonic jumps from rooftop to rooftop. And of course, you have that iconic clock set piece that brings everything to a head. Everything about Rooftop Run just screams fun. And that goes from everything to the fast-paced quick-step sections in these tight corridors, to the amazing drift section over this beautiful landscape that you can see the entire city from. Even the 2D sections have a lot of personality and flair to them. But man, that clock tower section, it starts with the player grinding onto the clock tower itself, with you having to dodge the lasers of these robots called the Arrow Chasers, to this amazing tricking sequence where you go over the tip of the clock tower and you get greeted to this absolutely marvelous view of the entire city. The colorful balloons, confetti, numerous rooftops, all of it. The player gets to take it all in, for a good while too, as the grind down the clock tower is a nice and smooth sequence into the later half of the level. That back half featuring other cool sections and nods to Sonic Unleashed, such as the spike trap in this tunnel, and you being able to homing attack these balloons for some nice platforming. You then end off this brilliant level with another iconic Arrow Chaser sequence, but this time with the blimp, which I'm pretty sure is Flying Battery Zone, shooting its gigantic lasers at you. I know it's probably been said a million times, but I cannot exaggerate just how good the level design is in Sonic Generations. It is genuinely the best level design I've ever seen in a Sonic game, and that is including the classics, by the way. Each stage just adds a perfect mix of speed, platforming, and spectacle that makes up the best of Sonic's levels. And Rooftop Run has no shortage of all three of these elements, making it a culmination of Sonic's journey from the Dark Ages to the Boost era, still trying his hardest to deliver fantastic fun into each level he goes to. And I'm all here for it. Alright, on to the number one pick for the best modern Sonic stage in Sonic Generations. This is probably my biggest hot take I've ever had in a video. I don't know, maybe I've had more controversial takes, that'll be for you guys to decide. But in my opinion, Seaside Hill is the best stage in Sonic Generations, bar none. Let me explain. First off, this is probably the second most gorgeous stage in the entire game. I already yammered on about how gorgeous Planet Wisp is. Well, take the beautifully crescent waves of Seaside Hill, combine it with the lush, illuminous foliage of all the other grass stages in the game, and add that stylish architecture from Ocean Palace Zone, now built in more HD quality, and you have yourself a simply gorgeous, breathtaking stage to experience. And speaking of Ocean Palace, that amazing remix where they combined the two themes into one showcases the striking creativity that Sega Team had at the time, combining these two amazing stages into one. Now onto the actual level design. This stage has the most alternate pathways out of any stage in the entire game. Seriously, I played through this level countless times, and each run through, it's a completely different pathway I take. You can race on the beautiful water, trying your best to keep your speed up in order to not die or drown. But the architecture of Ocean Palace serves the level design again, as you have this iconic kart section halfway through the level, where just for a clean 30 seconds, you get a whole new gameplay style with Sonic in the kart, having to dodge these bomb obstacles and boost off of the ramps. It's so creative, man. And then we get to the best underwater section in the entire game, where you go into the palace itself. Around this time, the music seems a little more calmer, a lot more reserved to help the player concentrate more. The interior is still keeping that striking, beautiful design that we're always accustomed to in this game. But then once you make your way into the third act of the stage, out of the palace's cavern, you're greeted to this amazing shot and sequence of these giant wheels creating onto the ground you're racing on, with you having to dodge them using quick steps or just fast inputs. Making your way towards this ramp section where you have the whales reaching out of the water to create this amazing effect with the rainbow in the background and ending off the level with an absolute bang. There are so many other elements of this level I can break down, such as the nice enemy design and how well integrated they are into the level, the perfect pacing of the level, with the music timed almost perfectly to each and every section, the subtle rise in difficulty that aids in the player's fun and excitement, just everything about Seaside Hill. It's so much more than just a Green Hill clone or just another grass level. Seaside Hill is truly an amalgamation of everything that makes Sonic Generations level design so peak. From the amazing aesthetics, to the awesome music, to the masterful game design, I hereby claim Seaside Hill as the best modern Sonic stage in Sonic Generations. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and obviously, of course, I know I had some hot takes in this opinion. Please be sure to leave down in the comment section what you think are the best stages in the game, and your hopes for the stages in Sonic X Shadow Generations. Please do not put any spoilers, as I know the game was leaked recently, and it will be very annoying for me to have to ban you. But with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.